Time to get your fix. It's a horrible gaming podcast. It's not good, it's not great. Horrible gaming podcast. It's not even what you would call fair. It's really not that good. Horrible Gaming Podcast.
Hello, my name is Zach Rye with Old Man Gaming. You, dear listener, for whatever reason, have decided to tune into another Horrible Gaming Podcast. This is a special one, ladies and gentlemen. It is our annual prediction show, and that is why I am not alone, because right next to me is...
Well, I mean, we don't know.
I know, I screwed that up. The minute I said it, I was like, oh no, how do I signal them? They can't even see me.
One of us being me, Neil, a.k.a. Tiny Wizard.
This is our second guaranteed Triforce show, and that would be the Triforce is complete. We've got Neil, a.k.a. Tiny Wizard, and the Buildmaster General, Phil Billy 330. Say hi, guys.
What's up, guys?
All right, so Neil is the keeper of this show. You guys all know that. This is a pre-recorded show. This will be airing the week of New Year's Eve. So again, no fan traction. We have no fan traction this or the Horrible Game Awards. Please leave your comments as per se usual. We will get to them when we get back to recording. All of that being said, what we do here is we made a bunch of predictions last year around the same time. It is 3 normal predictions and 1 insane one about the gaming industry. Then we reconvene to see who won. You can get a half point or a full point on your normal ones. You can get 1 or 2 on your crazy ones. The half points come if you were half right, basically. And then we can do little debates to see if people get half points or whatever. But Neil is the keeper of all of these things. So since we're not doing fan traction, since we're not doing anything, we're going to start with the results. Neil, I'm going to toss it right over to you, sir. Take it away.
So I figure how we'll do this is we'll just go through each of everybody's in order one by one.
Sounds good.
And the order that I have here on the list, I just have myself here first off.
Okay.
And my first one was the ESRB is going to announce the return of E3 in 2025. That most certainly did not happen. In fact, we had the opposite negative point per se. They've doubled down and reconfirmed that there is not going to be an E3 in 2025.
It's never happening. Have fun with Jeff Keighley. That's
basically what they've said is have fun with not real dad. I don't know what the hell Keeley's doing here, but I mean I guess this is what we have from here on out.
This is what we get until the game industry crashes and Keeley moves on to something else. Okay, so what's your next one then? I mean that one's pretty cut and dry. I don't think there's any debate
cut
there.
And dry. I mean there's nothing to argue there.
I actually looked back at mine, and mine are pretty cut and dry too. For both the ones I get and not, I feel like.
Yeah. So next up we have Zach, First Blood of this. Skull and Bones releases first quarter of 2024.
Got it. Finally, called it right. Came out in February to mixed reception, and I'm still playing it and have way too many hours in it and have like 3 maxed out fucking pirate ship boats. It's ridiculous. I went back to the damn thing. I told a friend of mine who was also playing it that I was like, I think I beat the game. And they're like, how do you beat a game like that? And I was like, I took the first boat you get and I made it so good that it can take on the highest level boats without problems. I took the shittiest boat and made it so good it can't be touched. So I was like, I may be done now. I'm not sure. But yay, point for Zach.
Yes. Then Phil, next point. Baldur's Gate 3 has DLC in the back half of the year. I guess we can. I would say that would be a yes, because with the patch that they added more subclasses, I would consider that a DLC.
Go ahead.
I could see how it could be argued either way, but they're definitely big updates. Like also just the whole integration of shit. Why am I using the word
mods and everything? Yeah.
I was when they first announced that like Baldur's Gate 3 isn't getting DLC. I was all ready to write that one off. But and honestly, even the first DLC that they got was cool. It was that epilogue dinner thing that they added towards the end. It was really cool, but I would have said that's a half point. But they've also since then added tons of different romance options. They've added tons of mod support. They've added
different endings.
They added a whole bunch of new endings for evil players. I think if you put it all together, it's got to equal a full point. So
I think you can definitely argue a full point.
100%.
Yeah. Like I said, I was ready to fight that one, but they kind of like lied to us. They were like, no DLC. Then they did like 7 DLC updates. I'm like, guys, just because you're not charging for it, it's still downloaded content.
Even at the last update, they were like, we're done. And then they're like, no, we're not. We're bringing in picture mode and all this crap.
And we're going to add 8 subclasses. Like, are you fucking kidding me?
Right.
It's definitely DLC.
So then back up at the top.
Okay.
Mine, another swing and a miss. Fable 4 finally releases this year, holiday 2024. Oh, well, maybe holiday 2025 at this point.
I don't even think so.
No, at this rate.
Don't
Remember
believe
it was supposed to come out in, 2022 when they announced it in 2020, 2021?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous. I honestly thought this one was going to be a win for you. If we could spend a little time on it, just because of how much they showed last year towards the end of the year on it. I was like, okay, they're finally ready to start like putting this sucker out, and now it's just gone quiet. We saw a bunch of stuff at last year's Game Awards, and we haven't seen a fucking trailer since. I'm like, what are we doing at this point? Like, I hate it when stuff does that, when they show you a bunch of stuff and then they just go quiet for like 2 years. Like, it's ridiculous. So I was actually in your camp as this was going to get a point, or at least we could have given you a half point by them saying, oh, early 2025, or something like that, like announce the release window. But yeah, they've just gone fucking dead quiet, and it's ridiculous.
Yeah, and that's like the opposite of what you think is going to happen with something like this after it's been so quiet, and then they start to show stuff, and then, nope.
Yeah, usually when they start to show stuff like that, it's a ramp up to at least a release date,
Yeah. Next one, I think there's an argument here for a full point. At least half for sure, but
what do you mean?
Would say that I guarantee at this point that you're going to get a full point.
If you're talking mine, it's definitely a point. I will fight you tooth and nail for it.
The only reason I'm saying maybe is because there's that tiny chance that something happens and it doesn't come out in 2025 just because we're looking in the future. But it's probably going to happen. It's probably going to happen.
Well, go ahead.
No new Nintendo release in Nintendo system release in 2024 will come out in 2025. Which, if we're being honest, yes, that's probably what's going to happen.
I think that's I think it's the wording. I said no new system in 2024. If I had said no new system and dead on release date for 25, I think no new system until 2025, I think I should get a point for that. I don't know. That's my argument. I will, of course, bow down to the conclave of you two, as we all do. This is a friendly competition as well.
Yeah, I would give it to you purely just because I think I would be more shocked at this point if it doesn't come out next year. Everything is all but directly pointing to it coming out next year. All the leaks are running rampant and everything like that. I see what you're saying, though. There isn't an unannounced date yet. So I see what you're saying. So it's up to you two. It is what it is on the paper. I'll give it to you.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd give it to you.
All right. 2, baby. 2. I'll take it.
All right. Next. Phil, Larian announces a new Divinity entry in 2024.
Oof.
I think that's a total loss, because didn't they kind of say that obviously they're working on a game, but it's not Divinity, I believe?
I don't know that they definitively said one way or the other, didn't they? I felt like they almost hinted towards Divinity, but then they walked that back.
Yeah, I think there was something along those lines. If I remember correctly, they said they're working on their next game, and I believe they said it's within universe of Divinity, but I don't think They've
okay.
officially. I wonder.
Well, maybe you could technically argue at a half point, I guess.
I'm gonna do some quick search on this.
Yeah,
here.
do a quick search because I feel like all the rumors are pointing to Divinity being the thing, and they haven't necessarily walked that all the way back. I think that would be worth a half point at the very least. I think if they were like it's definitely not Divinity, then no point. But if they were like if they haven't walked that rumor back, then I don't know. I feel like he should have a half point because I don't think that it's 100% confirmed that it's not Divinity.
Almost here. So I mean, they said that they're going to go back to the universe.
Oh. Okay. I think half point then.
Yeah, half point. July 27th, IGN article. After a well-earned break, they plan on going back to the Divinity universe. So
I think half point then.
I would say because I can't imagine they're doing that and something else at the same time.
I mean, they haven't definitively said Divinity 3, or something like that. I'd give full for that, but I think definitely half point.
I'm doing better than I thought. I didn't think I had anything.
Well, I'm done. The other two, I have no points on. I'm going to say that right now.
Spoiler alert, I really only can make an argument for one of mine. So, so going on to my last normal prediction. Okay. Sony is going to attempt to buy Ubisoft. No. No, next. I mean, I'm sure there's behind closed doors they've had the conversation, but I don't think there's enough to warrant an actual point awarding there. Oh, nothing definitely. Outside of there's nothing that's definitely outside not of just with the rumor and speculation.
Definitely not with the whole Activision agreement.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're not going to sell to Sony when they have all of the streaming rights for Activision. Mm-hmm. Like, it's just not going to happen on Xbox,
Next up, Zach, your last normal one. Valve announces a Game Pass competitor. Unfortunately, that has not come to pass.
No, I really want it to come to pass. I pray it comes to pass one day, but it has not. So, yeah, that's a full 0 for me. I won't even argue for anything else.
And then, Phil, your last normal one. Avowed releases second half of the year successfully. Almost. You almost had it.
It was so close. It was so close.
I don't know, man. If I had to make that prediction now, I would have said it doesn't, and it's not.
And successful. It doesn't, and it doesn't.
The releasing is doing a lot of the heavy lifting, not so much the successful part.
Yeah, that game looks rough to me.
I don't even think it's going to be good.
I don't either. I do not either.
Especially because they're going out of their way to be like, this is not Elder Scrolls. Don't treat it like Elder Scrolls.
On top
it's
of that,
it's going to be the same as Dragon Age, basically. Mm-hmm. It's going to be a big fucking flop.
On top of that, they keep walking stuff back. They keep showing a bunch of stuff. Every time we get a release, we get cool footage, and then there's immediately a press release telling us a bunch of stuff they don't have in there. And I'm like, what are we doing here?
It's this
why are you doing
hype that they love to do now?
Yeah, it's so ridiculous.
All right, so on to the crazy ones. This is the only one that I feel like I can argue for a half a point.
Let's hear it.
A full point out of the two, rather. Microsoft announces a first-party portable console. They said they're making it.
Yeah, they did.
They've not announced any sort of release. Yeah, it was Phil Spencer after Keeley's Summer Fuck Fest.
Yep.
He was asked directly, "Are you guys doing a portable?" He's like, "Well," and kind of batted his eyes at the camera. And
he actually said in an interview that we are doing one when it's nowhere near as close as people said it was. So
yeah.
What's the reading of that again? Just read that again, because I almost think you should get 2 on that, to be honest.
I don't know. Yeah, how I have it typed out specifically is Microsoft announces a first-party portable console. I feel I had the intent in my heart when I made that prediction that we would see something.
I see.
More of a formal, like, here is the hardware presentation, not necessarily a release date or anything like that, but they have something to present on stage.
Like
Phil
you're
comes
saying
out
a trailer.
holding it. This is the thing.
I see. So like
that
a,
was more
a
what I was
straight
leaning
announcement,
towards.
not
An
him just
actual,
being like, yeah, we're making it. Okay.
I'll
Well,
take
then-
the 1 out of 2 on that, but
Okay.
I don't think that knowing how I presented that, I can't argue for a full 2.
I commend you, sir, because I was ready to give you 2 on that. So that's a point, definitely.
Yeah. So I'm finally on the board. All right. Zach, your crazy one.
It did not happen.
Xbox announces Game Pass on Switch and PS5.
Hey, it's supposed to be crazy, right? I still think it's going to
supposed to be
happen.
crazy.
I still think it's going to happen. It's not one of my predictions this year. Well, it might be an alternate depending on what you guys pick. Because I realized once I did all mine that I'm like, they are probably going to pick 1 or 2 of these. So I did like 2 other ones just as alternates, just in case you guys pick one of mine. But yeah, so it might be. But I still think they're going to do it. I still think we're gonna find it out because they can't not. I mean, Xbox is smoking them out. They have all the
a
game
singularity
companies.
at this point.
Yeah, it really
towards
is.
a singularity.
Like, it sucks. I don't want it to be that way, but I think it's going to happen.
Yeah. And then Phil, you're a crazy one. I mean, I'll fight for you for 2 points on this one.
Really? I don't
Companies-
remember what it is.
I don't either.
Companies announce inclusion of AI in development in games. They've been talking about this shit left and right.
I did not remember him saying that.
Drooling.
I didn't either.
Yeah, he's going to get the win then. At the very end, he's going to steal it from me because that's a 2-pointer.
Yeah, I did not think I did well at all.
I got to
Honestly,
give you
man,
props on the
almost
2-pointer.
swept. This is the highest score we've had so far, I think.
That's a 2-point. I don't think we've ever gotten like the 2-pointers ever. I don't think any of us have ever gotten a crazy.
I think
Have
I
we?
got mine last year.
Oh, maybe.
I can't remember what it was for the life of me. I'd have to go back and listen. But
I was thinking about it the other day, and I've got to go back and listen. But I truly feel like the last like 2 years, like it's been like Phil, Neil, and now it's Phil again. But I was sure I was going to get the win.
I won my first year involved, and then Neil won, and then I guess I pulled it out again somehow out of my ass.
Good job, man. I mean, that's a good prediction. That's a good prediction. All right.
That's only going to get crazier and crazier too as time goes on.
Is that it for our reveals?
that is it. So we are now prepared to make our next push into 2025. I'm just getting my little sticky note lined up.
I do want to ask that I go last in the prediction order because I have alternates, and I don't think you guys have alternates. So just in case something
alternates,
just in case something's too close, I can pick an alternate.
All right, so then,
and this is probably why I lose all the fucking time, but I would much rather pick an alternate.
So, with this, just to kind of recap on this, how we kind of do this one more time, it is 3 regular predictions, things that are probably we think could happen reasonably, and 1 off base, off the wall one.
Yeah.
We try to make it as specific as possible. Obviously, you don't want to be too specific to where it's not going to do anything, but you don't want it to be too broad to where, it's almost guaranteed to hit. Then from there, we collect these things, and a year from now, we're going to go back through and see how well we did, just like we did here. So, given Phil is the victor, let's start with you. What is your first prediction?
My first prediction is going to be that Monster Hunter Wilds releases to the same success as World. Like, I think it's going to match. You know how World came out with great praise and did really well, and then
it did. It
Monster
mainstreamed
Hunter,
the franchise, if I would say so myself.
but then it kind of fell back when Monster Hunter Rise came out. I think this is going to bring it back up, and I think even though it's different with its open world traversal of the world of it, I think it's going to bring that Monster Hunter world feel and success back to the genre. I think they're pivoting. I hope they're pivoting.
So high praise then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Sorry, I'm just typing
Of
out
course you are.
mine.
You are the keeper.
I should have pre-typed mine in my own sticky notes so I don't have to type them whenever I go to do mine. So my first prediction, kind of continuing on, and I'm going to put more weight behind the number part of this because we've kind of assumed at this point, like we said, Nintendo's going to launch their new console this coming year. My prediction is it's going to launch at $500.
Nintendo Switch at $500?
I think it's going to be $500.
I think that's reasonable. I mean, heck, when the regular Switch came out, I think it was $450.
It was like
I think it was 4.
I actually thought it was like 300.
No, not when it was
300.
expensive when it first came out.
It wasn't cheap when it first came out, but I think it was 4. I don't think it was quite $450. I could be wrong.
Well, regardless, I mean that was what is that, 6 years ago now or something?
Yeah.
So I mean, I could totally see how that's realistic.
I mean,
Time Magazine, it was $300.
$300 when it first came out. Okay.
Did it go up
March
after
3rd.
that?
Well, there was the OLED.
There's the
came out.
OLED, yeah.
The OLED
that's
is the
probably
one
what
that
you're
was a
thinking
little
of.
more expensive.
Yeah.
But outside of that, let me see.
Man, they can't afford to do that. They can't afford to do that, especially with how mad people are getting at the PlayStation one. And all these other price hikes, they cannot afford to make that fucker $500, especially when you can buy a Steam Deck for about $150 cheaper than that.
Well, here's why I think it's going to be
I'm not arguing that it's going to be there.
Yeah, no, what I'm thinking is they're going to, of course, they have to improve the guts on everything.
Yeah.
But, everything else has gone up in price, and I feel like Nintendo is going to make that play now, knowing that the Switch is so successful that people have already been paying. There's people out there who are spending $700 or whatever on that PS5 Pro.
Yeah.
I mean, there's going to be a market for this because, I mean, honestly, myself, even as a Nintendo Switch owner, I would spend the $500 on a Switch too. I'd do it.
I would.
I think
you out your mind.
They're gonna. Well, I think
love
they
you,
would
but
make
I
that
think you
play.
out your mind.
I think that they would make that play with everything just in the world becoming more and more expensive as time has gone on. 2017 and 2025 are completely different periods of time, effectively, when it comes to that stuff.
I personally think what you're saying is logical from the standpoint of what the market is doing, but personally, I think if you are looking at what the competitors are out there right now, I think if they make that thing $500, God, that thing better.
Oh yeah,
do sexy stuff to you. Like
that's going to be the conversation. Like 100%. That is going to be the conversation.
Because right now the Switch is cheaper than the Steam Deck, and it does less. So if that Switch doesn't do more than what a Steam Deck does, which is a pretty tall order,
it kind of can't. I mean, it's Nintendo.
Right. Well, I mean, the second one could come out and they could put more features on it, the side features, but they couldn't have the games.
You're not going to be able to play Games Pass on a Switch, obviously.
No, you're right. But, I mean, if you look at the Nintendo Switch, the features themselves have been shitty. They're not even there. You have to at least be able to compete with Steam Deck, and I don't think...
Could they have a chat? That's all I'm asking. Could Nintendo come up with a reasonable chat where you don't have to call your buddy on his cell phone and put it on speaker?
100% agree with
ridiculous.
That. Exactly. That needs to be there. You need to have access to Netflix and more than just Netflix and YouTube. You need to have internet access to the thing. Switch has never done that, and they're not good at it. And I'm very nervous that, like, you think about Steam Deck, it's a PC that I could plug into my TV and then I can pick up and I can play games on it. Like, that's what a Steam Deck is. Like, and it's $150 cheaper than that. Woof, that would be... I don't want to get hung up on this because we got a lot of predictions to get through, but woof. I'm not saying you're wrong either, man. I'm not insulting you. I'm just saying that would be...
It is one of those things to where,
I could sadly see you being late.
That's exactly
all part of the crash, baby. It's coming. It's coming.
So, Zach, what is your first one?
All right. I'm going to try and pick the one I believe is least likely to be on you guys' lists. And funny enough, mine is actually about the Xbox handheld. And I just want to point out, I did not write down any of you guys' predictions from last year, so it was kind of a surprise to me even seeing them because I had forgotten completely what they were. But I think in 2025, we will see the Xbox handheld and get a release date or window. So we will get, at Keeley's Fuckfest this time, instead of hinting at it, he would be like, this is what it looks like, this is when it's coming, this is what its price is, or something along those lines.
So you said announced and shown
announced with a release window is what I'm saying.
With a release window, okay.
Maybe not shown, but like announced with a release window. Like they're going to say like, here's the Xbox handheld, here's what it's called, and this is the year it's coming out or the date it's coming out.
All right. Yeah, I could see that potentially. Just because they love to get ahead of themselves with that sort of shit.
Yeah, it's really weird, Neil, because like I said, I did not remember any of the predictions, but two of my predictions, one of my crazy predictions, is very near to one of your last year predictions as well. Now I feel like I'm kind of copying, but yeah. So that's my first normal prediction.
All right, Phil, what do you got next?
Since I went positive number 1, I'm going to go negative number 2. I think that GTA 6 releases and that it is a severe letdown, which everyone seems to think if it releases it's going to be Game of the Year. I think it's going to stink.
Ooh, interesting. This was one I was expecting you to take, but in a different way, so I think my original prediction will completely work now.
Oh, you don't think it's going to come out at all, do you?
Well, it's not my turn.
We'll talk about it later. I think at this point...
I think it has to come out. Because I was toying with the idea of it not coming out. But I think this is, year 2 they've really been talking about it. I feel like they are going to have to release it. And I don't think it's going to be successful.
Permission to go out of order, Games Master. Neil.
Permission granted.
Okay, since we're already talking about it, I also ask this permission before I make this claim. Neil, do you have anything about GTA 6 on your predictions
I have
list?
nothing about GTA 6.
Okay, I think it's going to get delayed, and I think Rockstar is truly the most narcissistic, arrogant company that has ever existed in gaming, and they think they can just do whatever the fuck they want, and they can release it whenever the fuck they want. Do you remember Red Dead Redemption 2? They said it was going to come out in like fucking October, and I was ready for it to come out, and then a month before they were like, sorry, it's coming out in March, suck it. Like, that's how Rockstar is. They're going to do what they want to do, and I don't think we have seen enough of that game for them to be anywhere near ready to put out the game that they're talking about actually having. So I will say this, if it comes out this year, it's a fucking train wreck, and you're right. You're 100% getting the point. I don't think it's coming out.
One of us is getting this point regardless. Yeah. It either does not come out or it sucks. I can't...
Yeah.
I think even if they push it off, I think it's not going to be good. But that's just my weird feeling. I just have a feeling.
It's giving me very much cyberpunk vibes. Very much cyberpunk vibes.
Yeah.
Because remember, they had that early build of it that got leaked out, and everybody was losing their goddamn minds about that early build. Even though, like, objectively, like, it is an alpha, not even alpha build. Dudes are jumping over like checkered walls and stuff like that. They're just doing animations. That was like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Granted, that was an earlier, build of what they were doing, but with how big this game is supposed to be, it's going to be a hot minute before something comes out decent. So here we are, having only gotten our cinematic trailer. We have seen zero gameplay of this thing yet.
Yep.
And we have not.
We all know what that means.
And it's not coming out this year. I mean, if it does come out this year, I would say it's probably going to be in the holiday season because they know what they're doing when it comes to that sort of stuff. But anytime you have a juggernaut like this, if it's going to release in like that holiday season and it's not up to snuff, they're more than likely going to push it out of 2025.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I could see it going either way. Both of you guys' points, because I mean, Rockstar is shitty like that. They will do whatever they want to do.
Yeah,
but at the same time, they will not give one solitary shit and put that thing out and say it's Grand Theft Auto. Shut up, guys. Come on.
Yepers. I mean, there was a whole a Twitter trend for months, almost a year, to get Red Dead Redemption back on track, and they were just like, fuck it, whatever, we don't give a shit, we don't care about you, we're gonna put out what we want to do, and that's it. So let's keep
so
go to your
theme.
second one.
Let's keep with the theme, the reoccurring nightmare of prediction. So this time I'm gonna have a little bit more solidifiedness to it. Metroid Prime 4 Beyond will be announced for 2025, but is going to get delayed into 2026.
Ooh. Oh my God. I cannot believe this is happening. All right. Okay. All right. Dude.
Is that one of the ones you have?
So, all right. So I had two ones that I was like, because I talked to Phil about GTA for a second. So I was like, it's going to be on his prediction list. And you always have some shit about Metroid 4 on your prediction list.
Shit.
Except for the 1 year that I stole it from you, which was hysterical. And I think I got a point off of it, which was even funnier. Like, I was probably the one that got a point on it. But I have a prediction about Metroid Prime 4. And now this is fun because it's opposite what you're saying. So,
well, let's continue the trend of going out of order because we have related ones. Is this your wild one or
no,
is this a normal?
This is not my wild one. My wild one is truly insane, but I actually believe it's going to happen. So I believe that Metroid 4 Prime 4 will come out, and it will come out a few months before the new Switch does. Just like they did with not Tears of the Kingdom. The first one.
Breath of the Wild.
Just like they did with Breath of the Wild. They have an MO, and Nintendo is very, very, very beholden to their modus operandi. They do the same shit every time they do it, all the time, period. I believe that Metroid Prime 4 will come out in 2025. It will come out a couple of months before the Switch 2 for the Switch 1. And then it will be the launch title, effectively, for the Switch 2.
Interesting. And I can see that happening.
100% at odds with you guys. Yeah, you see what I'm saying?
Because I've done that multiple times with other games, too.
Yeah, it's funny that you guys said those back to back. I'm like, holy shit. Those were the ones that I had alternates because I didn't know which way you guys were going to go with it. And then when you said them, I'm like, oh, mine are actually going to work here.
All right. Well, then, Phil, what's your last normal one?
My last normal one, I think, I think Outer Worlds 2 releases like Christmas season next year.
Nice.
So what would that be, fourth quarter or whatever?
Yeah, Q4 holiday season, something like that.
I'm very excited for that game.
Yep, pretty simple one, but I think that is likely.
Yeah, I could see that happening.
I mean, as long as you put like a specific date type thing like on that.
I have it typed out as Q4 / holiday season 2025.
Works for me.
All right. My last normal one then, I think it's time. Valve is going to announce the Steam Deck successor.
Ooh, that's a normal one.
That's a
Interesting.
normal one. That's a normal one. I know they've said before that they're in the process of having those conversations and doing those developments, but they've also said that they're not going to release it until the time is right.
Right.
I'm merely going with an announcement of it, not necessarily a release.
My
That's
crazy one kind of builds on yours, just so you know, but I don't think it'll. I think it'll work. I'll let you guys judge when we get to that.
Oh, you know what? We've done all of our normal ones, so we're on.
Let's just go out of order, baby. Let's go out of order.
Oh, okay.
Let's go.
Might
you're
as
up.
well.
What is it?
So basically, my
I feel
crazy
like I'm playing
one.
euchre here, and just everybody's trumping each other with their.
My crazy one is I think because. So I feel like the Steam Deck has like. It's like very niche, you know. I think what they're gonna do is they're gonna try to expand and like they kind of beat the Switch, but the one thing they don't have is a simple way to put that on somebody's TV. So I think that's what they're gonna move to. They're gonna have the handheld, and whether it be a dock or something like that, like that's what their target is gonna be to try to get more people who aren't PC people to so it'll be like console / handheld.
They do already sell a dock for your TV.
Do they?
Yeah.
Yes.
See,
Like
didn't
I
know
don't
that.
want to poke holes in it, but it already exists.
Okay, well then come back to me. I'll come
Okay.
up with it.
I think that's like I mean, yeah. I've thought about it many times because they have a dock, and I kind of want to use it for my TV with Melissa because she hates coming down here to record on Prelude. It's like the one reason I want a Steam Deck is because I could put it on a dock on my TV, and she could play my PC games from there because she only ever wants to play the Switch, but our capture card blows, so I lose footage all the time. So who's next on the crazy since our order is fucking whacked?
Well, I'm just gonna kick mine out real quick.
Do it.
Mine's one that we've kind of thought about, and I mean, we even kind of talked about a little bit this past year, but I think this year is going to be the one that's going to be it. I think Ubisoft is finally officially going to get purchased.
Motherfucker.
Who it will be, I'm not sure, because I could see Microsoft doing it to get their streaming shit back and just big old FU to the government, basically forcing them to sell off the streaming stuff so that way they just reclaim that Infinity Stone. Or Sony, because Sony is really feeling like they want to make some acquisitions here, and Ubisoft is not doing great at all in the slightest, and has effectively alluded to the fact that they want to be purchased. So
you have effectively stolen my crazy one.
I apologize.
It's okay. Of all the ones I thought you guys were going to take, this is not the one I was going to say. I actually was going to go a step further and say they either get bought out or declare bankruptcy this year and go out of business. Because I think that crash is coming, and I think that it is going to be in a situation where I don't think anybody really has that much money to spend after the last year that we've had. Like, if you look at AAA games and how much they've actually made, like, comparative to how much they've spent, all the AAA game companies are hurting right now. That's why we've just watched the bloodbath of employees walk out the fucking door. I don't know that they have the money to purchase a company like Ubisoft. Ubisoft's in a weird position because they're almost too big to be bought, but not big enough to survive. So, like, we're in a weird situation. But I'm going to pick an alternate. I do have an alternate, and I'm just going to go with what I did last year. I think Game Pass has always been... The goal of Phil Spencer has always been to put Game Pass on every fucking thing imaginable. Like, that is his one and only mission in life. I think it ends up on Switch or PC. I'm sorry, Switch or PlayStation 5 next year. That's my crazy one, since my Ubisoft one was taken from me. I was sure that one was fun.
Ubisoft will be fine as long as they sell off one of those A's.
One of those A's, yeah. If they go back to AA, the other problem is that Ubisoft's in my opinion, one of the big problems of these companies is they are failing to see that the consumer base is changing, and like there is a shift from not games as service, because people like games as service, but the way games as service is done by a company like Ubisoft specifically has become extremely unpopular, and there's a huge fatigue about how they do stuff. And I think that like they have an unwillingness to change that, complete and total unwillingness to change that, and that is going to hurt them. Like when we, like 3 or 4 years ago, when we started talking about stuff like this, we were begging consumers to like, hey man, if you don't want these games to do good, stop buying them, stop purchasing them, stop giving them money. I think they're finally starting to do that. I think it's more from boredom with what this kind of genre has become, but at the same time, like I think all of these companies keep exhibiting this unwillingness to change what they're doing, but yet their games are failing over and over and over again. And I think they're just it's trouble time for them unless they really start to think about how they do what they do. They need to look at companies like Arrowhead, and the company that makes Space Marine 2 and stuff like that as a better model than what they're doing, you know? Mm-hmm. So Phil, do you have a crazy one? Have you had enough time?
Yeah. I think we're gonna start seeing blockchain integrating into gaming, where Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are become built into games to purchase in-game assets in 2025. So you don't have to use credit cards and stuff like that for purchases. I think they're going to start integrating blockchain into gaming.
What's crazy
I'm going to want to throw myself off a bridge.
What's crazy is I think it was Square.
I'm not saying it's going to fully replace it. I just think it's going to.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. What's crazy is Square Enix was like this fucking close
to
doing that last year.
Yeah.
They had made mention of that back when NFTs were the hot new shit.
Yes.
They were talking about blockchain integration and this, that, and the third, and everybody was like, what are you talking about, bro? And then NFTs started collapsing. So then they kind of backed off of it. But I mean, I can see a world.
It's not going anywhere. I mean, Bitcoin's at like $100,000 a chip now.
It ramps up. It's got an ebb and flow, and all it takes is the gaming industry to decide to get on it while it's going up. You know,
right?
So I don't think that's. I think that's definitely within the realm of possibilities. All right, so that's it, right? We've done it. Do we have any, are we all good? Everything's locked in?
I do believe we are good and everything is locked in.
That is splendid. And I just want to say, we're not even going to take a break because it's easier to edit and there's no other sections. So we're just going to go to the plugs now, I think. But I do want to say really quickly, I hope everybody had a good 2024 or the best possible 2024 you could have had. I hope you have a great, definitely debatable, but I hope you have a great 2025. Happy New Year. Hope you had a Merry Christmas. Really quickly, Phil, Billy, anything you want to shout out?
Hopefully, my hope is that I get to game more than 80 hours in the year of 2025. That would be good.
I got all my fingers and toes crossed for you on that.
But other than that, I hope y'all had a good New Year and good Christmas and holidays and all that good stuff, and look forward to the next year being better than the last.
Most assuredly. Neil, anything you want to shout out, sir?
It can't get worse. Unless it does. No,
I was gonna say, you better knock on some fucking wood, Neil.
I mean, it's just, I don't like to necessarily plug anything in one of these pre-recorded shows directly, but I mean, it's just, thanks again for another year. Yeah. It's been great. the parts that haven't sucked. And I'm hoping, that 2024, now that that's finally done, 2025 just makes things that much better or improve as great as they possibly can.
I've said it many years, for 6 years. It has been crazy to do this channel and this show. It has been extremely rewarding, even when it hasn't been, And, it's brought me closer to these two gentlemen, as well as a bunch of other people from around the planet that I wouldn't even know if it wasn't for this channel, but I have become close friends with. So I think that, thanks to everybody out there who decides to tune in to this bullshit that I put out every week with these guys and everybody else. Like, it is a true blessing every time somebody listens to any of our stuff, and really surprising. But thank you.
It's surprising.
So with that said, we will see you guys again in 2025. And you guys can reach us on Facebook at Old Man Gaming DH. You can reach us on X at Old Man Gaming 9. You can reach us on Blue Sky. The addresses are really freaking huge, but just search for Axiom Games LLC / Old Man Gaming. Didn't help with the address. I know I didn't. But, and then finally, join our Discord. Links in the description below. Influence us in all of our shows from there. As long as you guys keep watching and listening, we'll keep making them. We'll see you guys next time.
Later.